Hello, everyone. My name is Jake Fries. I'm going to be talking about the solar system for my presentation. I just kind of wanted to give a brief introduction as to why I'm going to go over the solar system. As a kid, I've always kind of wondered what makes up our sky, and I've always kind of known about the planets but never been able to really explore them. So I thought that this would be a great way for me to really explore the planets in a different manner. And so for this presentation, I'm going to talk a little bit about what makes our planets unique and why our solar system is important. Why our solar system is important. Our solar system is made up of all the planets that surround the sun. So they all orbit the sun, and ultimately, in my opinion, the sun is the most important star in the sky because ultimately, without the sun, there would be no warmth in the world, and especially on Earth, it's even more prevalent. The solar system's also made up of all kinds of comets, asteroids, and other gases. This is something that I find very fascinating. I don't know much about comets or asteroids, so this was always something that I'm going to probably look at more throughout this project, is a little bit more about what makes up asteroids, comets, and the other gases that are in the solar system. Just for this purpose, I wanted to just give a little introduction as to what makes up our solar system and why it's important. And then finally, as you can tell on the bullet point, everything orbits the sun. So ultimately, without the sun, there wouldn't be nothing to orbit around. I found this picture online. I thought this was a great tool for us to kind of use to see the sun. One thing that I noticed when I looked at this picture is how much bigger Jupiter is compared to all the other planets. I mean, if you look at it, we are the third planet, but you just look at how much bigger Jupiter and even Saturn to a lesser extent is compared to a planet like Mercury, especially. You know, Mercury on this looks like a little dot, so I find it very fascinating. And so I wanted to kind of show what my presentation will be like for the actual thing when I look at a specific planet. So I wanted to look at Jupiter and find out more about why the planet is as big as it is. Obviously, as you guys can tell, Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system. And the reason being is it's made up of gases instead of solids. Earth is made up of kind of a solid core, whereas Jupiter is made up of mostly gases. So it enables them to be as big as it is. It's also the second brightest planet from the sun. That's all something that I had no clue about, or the Earth, excuse me. Something that I found very fascinating. A fun fact: Jupiter was named after the Greek gods in Rome. I had no clue about that actually, and it's called the gas giant planet, specifically because of the amount of gases it holds. And the gases cause it to be very windy. I had no clue that a planet could range up to 400 miles per hour in wind, which is something that I've honestly never even heard of. So that's something that I found very fascinating. So this is just a little bit brief introduction to Jupiter. I will go more into depth and explain more in my actual presentation. This is what Jupiter looks like. Very beautiful planet. Lastly, I want to focus on what makes our planet unique, or what makes all the planets unique, I'm sorry. This is going to be a part where I'm probably going to spend most of the time on throughout the presentation. So I wanted to just give 3 planets in particular: Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Mercury is very unique because of the hot and cold. Mercury ranges from 800 degrees to negative 279. 800 degrees is obviously when it's pointing to the sun. The opposite side that's pointing away from the sun gets as cold as negative 279. So that is something that I find to be really fascinating, and it really makes a difference in all the planets. Venus is made up of primarily carbon dioxide and sulfuric acid, and it can also reach up to 900 degrees. And Venus is also derived from the greenhouse effect, so I think that it's really interesting in that regard. And then Mars is called the rusty planet. Now, this is the one planet that I actually had very little knowledge about as to why it's red. I always knew that it was red, but never quite understood why that was. The rusty planet, as its nickname is, was derived from the rust in the soil. So, obviously, as we all know, rust is red, and that's primarily what Mars is made up of. So I thought that that was a very interesting part and something that I will go more into depth on and focus more with a lot more information as to why that's an interesting part to this assignment. So that's just a little bit of a brief introduction as to what I'm going to be going over. Like I said, I'm going to focus on a lot more information. I just wanted to kind of give the basis to it in this presentation, and I look forward to it.